1. Strict interpretation of a statute certainly involves literal or plain meaning test. The other tools of interpretation, namely contextual or purposive interpretation, cannot be applied nor any resort be made to look to other supporting material, especially in taxation statutes. Indeed, it is well settled that in a taxation statute, there is no room for any intendment, that regard must be had to the clear meaning of the words, and that the matter should be governed wholly by the language of the notification. Equity has no place in interpretation of a tax statute. Strictly one has to look to the language used. There is no room for searching intendment nor drawing any presumption. Furthermore, nothing has to be read into nor should anything be implied other than essential inferences while considering a taxation statute. 2. So far core issue is concerned, as decided in various authorities, it is the law that any ambiguity in a taxing statute should inure to the benefit of the subject assessee. But any ambiguity in the exemption clause of exemption notification must be conferred in favor of revenue, and such exemption should be allowed to be availed only to those subjects assessees who demonstrate that a case for exemption squarely falls within the parameters enumerated in the notification and that the claimants satisfy all the conditions precedent for availing exemption. 3. Every taxing statute including charging, computation, and exemption clause at the threshold stage should be interpreted strictly. Further, in case of ambiguity in charging provisions, the benefit must necessarily go in favor of subject assessee, but the same is not true for an exemption notification wherein the benefit of ambiguity must be strictly interpreted in favor of the revenue state. 4. There is abundant jurisprudential justification for this. In the governance of rule of law by a written constitution, there is no implied power of taxation. The tax power must be specifically conferred, and it should be strictly in accordance with the power so endowed by the Constitution itself. It is for this reason that the courts insist upon strict compliance before a state demands and extracts money from its citizens towards various taxes. Any ambiguity in a taxation provision, therefore, is interpreted in favor of the subject assessee. 5. But, in a situation where the tax exemption has to be interpreted, the benefit of doubt should go in favor of the revenue. The aforesaid conclusions are expounded only as a prelude to better understand jurisprudential basis for our conclusion. Conclusion. I. Exemption notification should be interpreted strictly. The burden of proving applicability would be on the assessee to show that his case comes within the parameters of the exemption clause or exemption notification. 2. When there is ambiguity in exemption notification, which is subject to strict interpretation, the benefit of such ambiguity cannot be claimed by the subject.